Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our virtual program today for prospective students and your families. My name is Conor McManus, Assistant Dean of Admission and Hamilton College alum class of 2023. I will be your moderator this evening, and I'm lucky to be joined by three members of our community. We look forward to sharing our insights into the Hamilton community with all of you. Finding community is an important part of the college search process. Today's panel is about the community that you'll find here at Hamilton and all of the opportunities and resources that are available to you here. I'm joined this evening by a wonderful cast of panelists, including Ariel Adams, our Director of Student Activities, Senior Fellow Rachel Budd, and Tour Guide Ben White. And I'll let them introduce themselves now. Ariel, if we'd like to start with you.
Hi, all. Good afternoon. Good evening, actually. Maybe afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Ariel Adams, and I'm the Director of Student Activities here at Hamilton. And I have the awesome pleasure of making sure the students at Hamilton have a positive outside of classroom experience. So I work with our clubs and organizations. We do some leadership. We do programming for our students on the late nights and the evenings. And that's the scope of my program. I know we'll get into it a little more, but that's me.
Thank you, Ariel. Rachel?
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a rising senior. I'm from Bow, New Hampshire. I'm an English literature with an anthropology minor. And I'm pretty involved in the dance department on campus. I work at the Writing Center and as a digital media tutor. And yeah, I'm really involved in a lot of the on-campus media publications. So a little bit about me.
And Ben?
Hi, my name is Ben. I am a rising junior, so class of 2026. I'm from Queens, New York City, and at Hamilton, I'm a theater major with an education minor. And then as for things that I'm a part of here on campus, I am a tour guide, hence why I'm on the panel. I am also a part of the Buffers, which is Hamilton's only all-male a cappella group. I also work with Untitled at Large, which is our student theater group. And then over the summer here, I'm working with orientation, specifically exploration adventure, to help with the orientation groups.
Awesome. Thank you all. We are also joined by my colleague, JD Ross, Associate Dean of Admission, who will be helping out behind the scenes. We'll be answering some questions in the chat and the Q&A feature. That said, we have a number of questions that we'd like for our panelists to answer us tonight to get us started. But as we go along, we'll be also taking questions from our audience in the Q&A portion. But as mentioned, to get us started, our first question tonight will be for all of our panelists, Ariel, Ben, and Rachel. What drew you to Hamilton?
I'll start first. Sorry, everybody. The things, the people. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So what drew me to Hamilton? I always was very active when I was an undergrad. And honestly, I was looking for a next step, a new challenge, a larger school. And honestly, Hamilton is everything that I experienced in an undergrad, being a student leader, being able to lead and do the things that you want, whether you're a student leader in clubs and organizations, or whether you're a student leader on an athletic field, anything like that. So I was really able to be a part and grow and learn and do everything that college has for you. So really that's what drew me to Hamilton, and also the mission and the vision is things that really align to me personally. So it just seemed like a great fit, and I'm so happy to be a part of the wonderful community here, working with different colleagues and awesome students.
So there are like two main things that drew me to Hamilton. The first one was just the amount of opportunities that Hamilton offered for me. So as I said earlier, I'm pretty much heavily involved in the theater department here. And when I came and I toured the school, I hadn't seen a school that had like its own theater building, and like the department was fleshed out both physically and like interpersonally, like within the department. Like there were so many classes, whether it was on stage or backstage, and I really appreciated that. And then the second reason is because of the community. When I came to Hamilton, it really reminded me of what my high school was like. I went to a small boarding school in Connecticut, so I really wanted that like familial feeling, and also the amount of support systems that Hamilton offers, whether it's just like me and my friends talking about what we're going through, or all of the other opportunities that Hamilton has, whether it's through the health center, peer counseling, things like that.
Yeah, and as for me, I come from somewhere that's fairly rural. I went to a small high school as well, so I really valued close teacher-student relationships. So I knew that coming to Hamilton, I would be able to, have a strong academic experience while, really getting to know my teachers as well as my fellow students in the classroom. I also really appreciated the location. I grew up really close to nature my whole life, and so I got to remain really in touch with nature due to, Hamilton's beautiful location and the glens we have on campus. And then, yeah, just to echo, I guess, what Ben was talking about, we have so many incredible resources here and so many different ways of making a community. And that's really emphasized, I think, across all my experiences and interactions with Hamilton. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll close this out here as I've had the distinctive pleasure of choosing Hamilton twice now. And I will echo what a lot of my other fellow panelists have said in that I was really attracted to the idea of a small school, of a place where you could build relationships with professors, with faculty, that there was a large amount of depth and breadth to both the educational experience as well as the opportunities to meet fellow students. And I also really appreciated the emphasis that was placed on writing as someone who loves to write, the ability to develop your skills in communication and writing in particular, I think is something that I've grown to appreciate all the while as I've now led my life as an alumni from Hamilton. Awesome. I do know that one of the big things that often draws students to Hamilton is our open curriculum. And so Ben and Rachel, can you talk a little bit about how the open curriculum appealed to you and maybe how you've been able to take advantage of the flexibility that it offers?
Yeah, so I think that something that's so wonderful about the open curriculum is that, every single person that you're going to class with is really, individually chosen to be in that class, regardless of their academic background, right? So you can walk into any discipline and know that the person next to you is really excited about what they're going to be learning. I also think it has given me a really great opportunity to make friends across the disciplines as well. So you're sitting down next to someone and they might be a math major, but they're sitting in your literature class with you, and then you get talking, and then you form a connection. And so your relationships aren't dictated by, your major or what you're directly studying, which is really great. In my own experience, I've definitely taken a lot of different classes at Hamilton. So I've taken so many intro classes like intro archaeology, intro biology, intro to animation, so many different intros. I can't even count them all, but actually, I have a little anecdote. Me and my friends recently did count actually all the different departments that we've had taken over our last 3 years here at Hamilton, just for fun. And of the four of us, we covered 37 of the 58 departments. And two of us are anthropology majors. I'm a literature major, and my last one is an interdisciplinary food sciences major. So we've really taken advantage of the depth and breadth. Some of them have taken intro Russian, calculus, neuroscience, psychology. The list goes on. So you're making friends with people across the discipline, and then you get the opportunity to learn about what they're learning about, and it's not necessarily just what's in their direct field of interest, which is really cool.
That was great. So I would say for me with the open curriculum, I originally thought that I was going to be on the like pre-medicine committee. And then I realized that pre-medicine and me aren't the bestest of friends. So I'm really thankful for the open curriculum just because it gave me so many different departments to go into. Like I've gone into women and gender studies, Africana studies. I've also ventured into theater, of course, and then also dance and a few other arts departments. But I really just appreciate the freedom, and it's given me a lot of agency over my like college career in a sense, just because I don't feel like I'm limited to only one discipline or like one department. I can essentially take all four classes in in different departments if I really wanted to. And that's something that's really special and I haven't found anywhere else. Yeah.
Quick follow-up question for both of you. Do you have a favorite class that you've taken so far, maybe in your department that you're majoring in, or maybe outside of that?
Uh, oh, I could take it. Okay. So I would say my favorite class that I've taken at Hamilton so far would have to be costume design with Professor Ost. At first, I was a little worried just because I'm good on the stage, but not really with like drawing and stuff like that. So I wanted to take this class just so I could get better at that if that was something that I wanted to go into. But it was a really cool class, and it was the first time that it had been taught by this professor. So throughout the year, we had a fashion show project that we did where we basically used like tape, mesh materials, trash bags to do like a trash and show for the theater department, which was pretty cool. Um, we learned how to do costume sketches. We also designed costumes for a new musical that is coming out pretty soon. So that was really cool to work on. And then the last big project that we worked on was collaborating with the directing class and designing the costumes for the director showcase, which is basically about 10 to 12 student shows that happens at the end of each semester.
Wow, it's the first time I'm hearing of this class. That sounds so amazing. I can't believe I'm just now hearing about it. I guess my answer would probably be US Modernisms, which is a literature course I took my sophomore year here at Hamilton. And the main thing I really enjoyed about it was that one of the assignments, actually, which is kind of nerdy, but I'm really used to writing a lot of like analytical essays. I think that's like the classic assignment you get in a lit class, but this class was the first time that I ever had that assignment called a stylistic imitation, which maybe some of you out there listening have done this before, but I had never. And so basically, what that is rather than writing an essay on an author, you attempt to mimic their style, hence stylistic imitation. And then, you through, I guess, writing it and trying to create something that's similar to it, you learn so much about, their form, their, I guess, little tricks that they're doing along the way. And then at the very end, we wrote an essay explaining, why we made the choices we made. And I felt like I left the class having a much better understanding of, some of the processes, I guess, of writing, which was really cool.
Thank you both for sharing. I know we've talked a lot about that classroom experience, and particularly, the relationships that students are able to build with their professors, those faculty members leading the class. Of course, we both know, or we all know, that our faculty also serve a role in our community, our academic advisors, and that's really important, of course, for academics and academic support. Rachel and Ben, would you mind talking a little bit about your relationship with your academic advisors and what that relationship looks like?
Yeah, it gets really, really close really, really fast. I think maybe when you first come to Hamilton, you're not really sure what to expect because advisors, at least in my experience, were kind of a distant thing. You see them once or twice a year and then you never see them again. But pretty immediately, Hamilton emphasizes, checking in on their advisees. Actually, I think my first academic advisor was one of the first professors, if not the first professor I met at Hamilton. I remember it so distinctly, like sitting down in a circle with all the other freshman advisees and, introducing ourselves, which was really great. But, now that I'm a little older, it's gotten a little bit more focused for my discipline. So again, I'm a literature major and now I have a thesis advisor and it's very, very close, very personal, lots of back and forth, lots of conversation with them. And I don't know, just a really, really intimate relationship. My honors class this next semester is only going to be me and one other person and then the professor. So if that says anything about how close it gets, I guess you can draw your own conclusion.
So I have a really good relationship with my academic advisor, and it's kind of similar to what it was like at my high school, just because it was also a pretty small school. But something that I really appreciate about the academic advisors is that they are just as excited and passionate about the things that you are. Like, it's the same level. So one example that I have is I was trying to get this theater opportunity that was outside of Hamilton, but I was still like referring to my academic advisor about that because she had always supported me, and she continues to do so. So when I finally got in, I let her know, and she was like, "Okay, we're going out for coffee. Like this deserves a celebration." And it's like the little things like that that I'm pretty sure all academic advisors do. Like they actually care for you and they want to see you succeed, and they will do anything in their power to help you do that, which I really appreciate.
Absolutely. Thank you both. Of course, our faculty make up one part of the staff of Hamilton, and then, of course, our staff as well. Ariel, I'd love to hear a little bit about your role as Director of Student Activities. And you can talk about some of the different ways that you support our students on campus.
Yes, definitely. First of all, that was great. Love hearing about like the academic side, just of like colleges and things, because they're definitely so unique, and that's an awesome way to make community on the campus and build those relationships between your faculty. So student activities is a part of the Division of Student Life. So some of the divisions under us is campus safety, community living, which essentially will be like your residence halls. You have the counseling center, the health center, outdoor leadership, and then spiritual and religious life. So under student activities, we do our clubs and organizations, and we make sure to support your out of classroom experience. And if it's not with a club and organization, if that's through athletics, or if that is being a tutor or any places on campus, we want to make sure that you find your sense of belonging. So even if you come into our office and you're like, I want to do X, we'll point you in that direction and make sure we can get you connected with those people. So I think that's definitely one way we build community, because we want to make sure, like I said, you have a great experience. College, I remember my years at college, I had a great time, and it truly was one of the best years of my life. And I want to be able to make sure students have that, even if it's not through coming to our programming or being a part of our clubs and organizations. So we do have about 150 clubs and organizations on campus that you can find your community in as well, ranging from all types of things. Rachel being with media, been doing the theater. We have a cappella groups like the Buffers. We have pre-academic, we have all, you name it, we have it. And if we don't have it, you can start that club, which is through our office. And that is one way we support our students on campus, right? Like supporting them with things that they enjoy. So whether that is helping them buy some supplies for the events at the last minute, whether that's walking them through what the event will look like so the rest of the campus community could get involved, or even joining the events, whether they are late at night or on the weekends, that's way we're able to do that as well. But then from our office side, we also host programming. So the idea is we want to do things that students are interested in. So we have a team of students that work with us to help plan those programs and staff them. And really, like, I love going just to sit back and watch students enjoy themselves. Whether it is a dance party, whether we're doing laser tag, whether we're doing DIY things, taking and going, like that's another great way to just see students in a different way. So although student activities, yes, we do a lot of fun things, it does build community, because you see students coming and then you see them waving and then you see them sitting down with each other, but also other departments in the division as well, just to make sure we're all working together for students of Hamilton.
Thank you. And Rachel and Ben, I know you mentioned some of the different student activities that you're involved with when we started, and as you introduced yourself. Would you mind talking a little bit about how you got involved with these different clubs, activities, groups as you arrived on campus, or maybe even groups that you're a part of now that you have found after your time as a Hamilton student?
So I can start. So I feel like all of the student activities that I've been involved with, like going to those events was never the original plan. And that's kind of what I love about student activities, because even if you don't see yourself necessarily like going to an event, there is something there for everyone. So for example, like with the DIY events that you were bringing up, Ariel, like I have a DIY moss ball that's still in my room from 2 semesters ago. I still have like my little DIY terrarium and my DIY snow globe. Like all of those little things really do add up. And like now I have like more decorations for my room. And then as for like the more like clubs and organization side of stuff, when I got involved with the Buffers, I originally wasn't going to, just because I'm more of like a dance performer, like dancing and acting rather than just singing. But then once I actually like auditioned for it, I got in and I was like, okay, well, maybe I can like get better at singing. And I've progressed so much. Now I'm in vocal lessons, which the college provides, which is really nice. Um, kind of a similar thing with Untitled at Large. I wasn't sure if I was going to be more involved with like student theater or like main stage theater, but I'm glad that I've been involved in more student theater because for my first year spring, I was able to put on a musical in one semester, which I was surprised that I was even able to do. But they fully funded it. Like they paid for the rights, they paid for all of the set pieces and costuming, and it went really well. We had a great turnout. But yeah.
Nice. I guess kind of just to segue, theater and dance are, basically part of the same parent department. So I'll talk about my experience with dance, I guess. A lot of them, some of the things I just showed up to, some things were audition based, but what I really like about the dance department is that regardless of your dance background, there's almost always a place for you on stage for the main stage faculty showcase. So there's people ranging from all kinds of experience levels who audition for the show and then get cast and then get an opportunity to perform, which is really great. Outside of that, I would talk a little bit about, some of the senior theses. I know Ben was just talking about the theater ones, but for dance, they cast within the student body. And what's so nice about the dance department is, once you get involved, it's basically impossible to stop being involved because people like know your face now, they know who you are, and they, want to cast you in their theses, which is so great. And yeah, and then also there's so many like student choreography opportunities as well. And again, that's a super accessible thing. Like I know that my RA, who didn't have any background in theater, I know that they ended up choreographing a dance and performing it for our student showcase. And they had a circus background, so very cool and very easy to get involved. Let's see. As for the media publications, both of those I applied to be a part of, but at the very beginning of my college process, I wasn't. I didn't have any like student publications where I came from as far as I knew about. So I didn't necessarily think that that was something I wanted to be involved in when I came to campus. But then, at the end of every semester, I'd see, Red Weather, our literary and arts magazine, or Suture, our academic journal on the, benches in one of our academic buildings. And I think, maybe that this is something that I could get involved in as well. And so, I applied and then I became a part of it, right? Bowling club is something that I never could have imagined I'd be a part of in Hamilton. I actually have never bowled before. Where I'm from, the bigger thing is candlepin bowling, which is like really tiny, like about this big bowling balls, and then like straight up bowling pins. So 9-pin was completely novel to me, and then I came to Hamilton and I got involved right away. So I think it's really easy to just show up and get excited, and it doesn't take much, I think, to get involved.
Awesome. Thank you. I know that first, especially that first semester, as students are arriving on campus, a big part of that is trying to find those different things that you enjoy, maybe continuing some of the different things that you enjoy from high school. I'd like to ask all of our panelists, what are some of the different ways that students can get involved with student activities on campus, and particularly during their first semester or so, or their first year on campus?
Right. So that first year and that first semester is definitely so important, whether you're coming, doing things that you've already done, like Connor said, from high school, or finding new things, whatever that is. So the first thing is our office hosts a club fair. On the Dunham Green, we'll have 100+ clubs and organizations. The clubs go, it's like wildfire to get a table there, but that is the first way, one of the first ways you're able to meet that. Before that, during the orientation, you'll have an opportunity to meet the student activities office, and we provide information and pamphlets and things like that. Throughout that time, there might be some other orientation leaders that might be talking about their clubs and organizations too. So that's kind of like the way before classes start. But we do have a fair where you're able to walk through and see all our clubs and organizations. And if clubs are there that if clubs are not there that you're interested in, you can always stop by our office and we'll pass along that information to you so we can get you connected there. A lot of times our clubs will also host a lot of events at the start of the semester, and they'll send emails and they'll do a lot of targeted reach out. So that's another way, even if you're just like, I'm walking around campus and I see people, I hear some noise through the barn. You really can't because the barn is kind of inside, but just go with me. You're walking through campus and you hear a sound, whether you're walking inside, that could be a great way where you meet a club and organization. Or it could be a friend that's like, let's go here. So there's a lot of opportunities at the start of the semester. And our job, especially for first year students, is to make sure there are things for you to do, but to connect you to those places where you have that sense of belonging.
Yeah, I guess just to kind of echo what you're talking about, what immediately came to mind when you're talking about, walking around and seeing things that you might want to get involved in is how during finals we have a saxophone ensemble that'll come through one of our local working places and they'll play, a bunch of winter songs for everyone who's working there. And, it sounds pretty silly, but it really is so much fun. And I often have found myself wishing that I played saxophone so I could go up there and say, hey, like, let me be a part of this. But yeah, and I think what's so nice about Hamilton is that it really encourages you to make friends that are interested in things that you aren't necessarily interested in yourself. So like I have no exposure to rugby, but two of my closest friends are the captain of the men's and women's teams respectively. And so I go to all their games and I, like love supporting them. And even though I'm not directly involved with rugby, I feel like I know so much about it and I am involved with it and I know all their teammates because I have friends who are involved in it. So I think that, the club fair is an excellent way of seeing things. Walking around is an excellent way of getting involved in things, but also, your friends will drag you along to things and then you'll feel kind of tangentially like involved in it as well.
So definitely echoing what Rachel and Ariel both said. I would say another thing that definitely helped me in my first year was going to the first year experience events. So throughout your first year, there will be a multitude of different events. I remember going to a squeezers truck, which is basically this really good lemonade truck that we have up here. It can't be beat. And then also like other food trucks and things like that. There was one day I remember I was walking with one of my friends and we just heard screaming and we're like, what's going on? And then we turn around and like through the trees, we could just see like multiple bouncy houses. And we are like, you know what? Let's go. And we had a great time. So it's just going on a whim and doing like random things that originally you'd be like, maybe I'm not going to get in a strange bouncy house, but it's like you're having fun with your friends and it's a great way to meet people.
Absolutely. Ariel, I know you're probably on the back end of some of those first year events. Can you talk about the thought process that kind of goes into planning those events and kind of, I don't know, maybe some of the fun ones that have been done in recent years?
Right. Actually, thank you, Ben, for bringing that up because that was in my little notes thing to bring up FYE and it slipped my mind, but it's great because we were going to talk about it anyway. So FYE is housed through my office through Tessa Shafalo, who works closely with student activities, but she definitely does FYE. There are FYE interns, and their job is to just make sure they are planning for the first year students. So a lot of it is sitting down between the FYE leaders and Tessa, looking at things that were done before, working with students through orientation, seeing what they're interested in, and planning those intentional programs to get people together. So it could just be a random lemonade truck and you might be thirsty that day. Squeezers is very good. We bring them to campus all the time. But that is a way. You might be standing online waiting for it, but you're able to meet another first year student. And those events are designed specifically for first years. There's a lot of de-stress events that happen during midterms and finals because that is a rough time, could be during your first year at Hamilton, but you're able to get through it and they provide those events so you're not alone, right? So you're not thinking that you're going through this by yourself, but there's other people there with you. So they host a lot of events throughout the semester. The FYE leaders and Tessa meet weekly to plan what's happening, and really is just being very specific and intentional around the first year experience to make sure students are able to feel connected, another way of building community on campus.
Absolutely. Awesome. I know we've alluded to this idea of our orientation trips, how important the orientation trips are, especially at the beginning of the Hamilton experience. And we're lucky to be joined by two of our orientation leaders here tonight, in Rachel and Ben. Could you talk a little bit about your experience being orientation leaders, the first year experience, and how you play a role in that, and maybe how orientation trips help to build community on campus?
Uh,
Um,
oh, I'll take it. I'll just start by kind of briefly explaining how orientation works. So basically, when you first get here, you will be put on an orientation trip. So you can either be going into the Adirondacks, doing a bunch of outdoorsy trips. You can be in the local like Syracuse, Clinton area, doing a lot of like explorative adventure trips. So like exploring niche topics, whether it's like dance, radio shows, there's even one for like New York frontier warfare, which is pretty cool. And then you also have the option of going on like service trips and volunteering in also the local Syracuse and Clinton area. But as for the role that I play, so over the summer, I am an intern for the exploration adventure sector of orientation. So me and two of my other coworkers were basically making sure that all of the itineraries are set. We're making sure the campsites are booked, all of the tickets to the different events that students are going to, basically covering all the logistical stuff. And then once we go into like actually leading the trips, the way that it works is there are two student leaders and a group of about like 8 to 10 students. And whatever trip you're going on, whether you're canoeing or hiking in the Adirondacks or just going around Syracuse and Clinton, you'd be traveling in that group for about like 5 days. Yeah.
Yeah, orientation is just such an amazing program, and we're so lucky to be joined by an intern of it. But yeah, so I work for the Adirondack Adventure Program, so that's like specifically the hiking, canoeing, kayaking, that branch of it. But all the programming is so wonderful, and it really, really does encourage students to immediately have a sense of community on campus. You know, like you arrive, you say goodbye to your parents, and then you're immediately pretty much with your orientation group. And I think that's just such a wonderful way of transitioning from, high school to college. You have this group of people who you can rely on, who know your name and you know theirs, and they know things about you. Like, you spend 4 days with them and you're trapped with them, but in a really fun way, and you get to know a lot of things about them. And it's not like these connections disappear as soon as you exit the woods, exit, your outreach adventure. You see them, you walk by them, and you can say hi to them, and they want to say hi to you as well. And I think, again, it's just such an amazing way of creating a sense of community as soon as you get to Hamilton. And then, I mean, for me at least, one of my best friends I met on my orientation trip, and then she became my roommate the following year. I know two of the people we work with in the admissions office, they met on their orientation trip as well. So many people have so many really, really positive experiences with the orientation program. And even if you don't find your best friend through it, you make, so many lasting connections, or at least lasting smiles on Martin's Way.
Awesome. Thank you all. I know we've got a couple questions that have been coming through the Q&A, so I do want to make sure that we answer those from our audience. And if you have a question, feel free to pop that in our question and answer section. So for our group, I've got a question about campus traditions, if there's any that stand out to you that maybe you enjoy. And of course, our campus traditions happen throughout the year, but maybe some of our favorites from our panelists.
I would say one of my favorite campus traditions is definitely the Class and Charter Day concert that happens once a year in the spring semester. It's always a day that I get really excited for. I like the night before, I'm like, tomorrow's the day. But so the way that Class and Charter Day works is that you would go to whatever classes that you have on that day. And then once you're done with your classes, you would usually like hang out with your friends before the concert. Then you would all head over there. And then usually afterwards, there are like little hangouts around. But I just love getting to spend that like quality time with my friends because we're all like, it's not like we have like high expectations, but like we're all like really happy just to be spending time with each other. Also because the weather's getting nicer, it's like everybody's in really like fun and like nice outfits. So we're all just having a great time. And they always choose a really good artist. So I know this past year we had Dayglow and Hot Shell Ray. The year before we had Flo Millie and I'm pretty sure it was Binky, but they always make great decisions. Yeah.
One of my favorites is probably Citrus Bowl, which is the first home game for the hockey team. So, when it's the first home game, everyone on campus gathers at our rink, and it's so fun. There's t-shirts, lots of merchandise, and everyone packs in. And then when Hamilton scores their first goal of the game, a lot of people throw oranges out and onto the ice, and it's just really good fun, and it's always really silly. And they also tell citrus facts over the loudspeaker during the breaks, so it's just a good time.
That makes me happy because both of those are through the student activities office. And there's so many other traditions, but those two are amazing and great. And the weather this year for CNC was great. And to see all the people come, family, alums, like packed out, it's a really great sight to see. I think mine, I was struggling, that's why I was going last. I think mine might have to be Lighting of Our Village that happens in the fall semester. And I like it because it's really intentional and it's kind of hosted through the student life department, but we bring a lot of other organizations together. And it's really just a chance for the campus community to come together to think about light in the dark. We light up Sadoff and Beinecke, and it's really beautiful. We have snacks outside, and we have swag, and our acapella group sing. And then some of our students and interns from the religious and spiritual life are able to also speak about religions or holidays surrounding light too. But it's just an opportunity to bring everybody together, and it's so amazing to see. And then we light up sparklers, and just all of Martin's Way is like lit in the dead of November when it's cold and dark, but it also brings like warmth to your heart. Um, so although it is quick, that's a great way to do some path and go things, but it's really great to see the whole campus community together. And I really enjoy it.
Awesome. Yeah, especially in upstate New York, those days do get pretty long and dark pretty early, so it helps to have some light to light the way. I think the partner in crime of the spring semester being our February festival, very similar themes of staying warm and staying warm inside, especially as our students are returning to campus in the spring with a ton of very awesome activities, including like things like a chili bake-off. I know that that's one of my favorite traditions on campus as well. Ben, we have a specific question in here for you about the audition process for performance groups on campus, and specifically, can non-majors try out for theater productions, maybe the main stage production, or then also, if you're involved with music, do you need to necessarily be a music major to take part in some of those different music ensembles on campus?
So I don't really know about dance and music ensembles, so I'm gonna refer that over to Rachel because I think you know more about that than I do. But for the I'll start with the theater audition. So when you're auditioning for a main stage performance, they pretty much set it up how it would be like you're auditioning in the real world. So you would come with a monologue prepared. If it's a musical, then you would also have to prepare 16 to 32 bars of music. And then you would come in, you would do your audition, and then after that, you would receive a callback. After the callback, the cast list would be released, and that's how you get cast in the main stage. As for student shows, it's a lot less formal. So you can either prepare a monologue by yourself or they'll provide you with one. And then you would do your audition, do your callback, and then the cast list would come out from there. And then as for performance groups, mainly a cappella, there are two sets of auditions. So there's one at the beginning of the fall semester and then one at the beginning of the spring semester. The way that it works is we would do our concert and then that weekend are our auditions. So you would come for auditions. It varies for each group, but you would basically show off your like range, your musical ability. If you have any like secret musical talents like beatboxing, percussion, trumpet sounds, things like that. But and then after that, you would go into your callback. Callbacks, you get to actually like sing a song with the performance group that you're auditioning for, which is really nice. And then after that, like maybe 1 or 2 days later, you would find out if you got into the group or not. But yeah.
Awesome. Rachel, I didn't know if you had anything to add from the dance performance perspective.
Yeah, that sounds like a very elaborate process. Props to you for getting so involved. Dance is a little bit more low key. The performance groups auditions are mostly like you take a class, and then there's a combination, and then you perform the combination in small groups, and then from there, either piece or the dance group casts its group. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yes, thank you both for the insight. I've got a question in chat here about Clinton and the local area. I know that we've talked a lot about our community and the people sense and some of the people that you'll meet, but the physical sense, where we're located in Clinton, New York. Would you all mind sharing a little bit about maybe some favorite destinations in the local area, what it's like to live in Clinton, New York?
I mean, for starters, it's so beautiful in the fall. We keep talking about it, but the leaves change. The cider mill is so wonderful. There's fresh, warm apple cider. There's apple cider donuts, both of which are so yummy and wonderful. I love getting coffee with my friends at Utica Coffee, which is a local chain. I think one of my favorite things about our location is definitely the nature. I love going on hikes, in the Adirondacks with my friends. I love going to local swimming spots. Just getting outside and getting in touch with nature has been a really great part. But it's so nice that Clinton is so close. So it means that anything you could possibly want is at your fingertips. But if you do want more of a, natural experience like I enjoy, you can have that as well. It's the best of both worlds, honestly.
So I like to joke that when I first came to Hamilton, I was a little concerned because my family, we drove up the back way. So all we drove through was nature and all we saw was like trees and farmland. So I was like, Mom, I'm a little scared right now. But then once we drove like down the hill and through the town of Clinton, we realized that there was like so much more there. So just as Rachel was saying, like on the hill, we have so on the hill and kind of like further past like up the hill, there's so much nature. You can go to like farms. There's also an Amish community there. They make the best pies. And then once you go like further into the town of Clinton, you have like you're like I like to describe it as like a cute rural upstate town. So like we have like a creameria, we also have a thrift shop, a pottery shop, things like that. But then we also have like more, I would say like city-like corporations. So of course we have like a mall. So we have like Target, Walmart. We also have like Dunkin' Donuts. One of my favorite places is Nothing Bundt Cakes. They sell like a variety of different bun cakes, but they make these like little ones that are called Bunttinis. They're really good. So you definitely have like a wide variety of things to do in Clinton.
Yes. Going off of that, speaking about traditions, my office also hosts Off the Hill Challenge Homecoming, where it brings Hamilton College and Clinton together, and it's hosted on the green down in Clinton, and it's a great way to bring Clinton together and Hamilton together. And we have cider mill. Cider mill is the best. Everybody's like, you have to try it, and I am hooked to the donuts, and I can't wait for them to open because I just want a donut right now. But that's an awesome way to see Clinton and do the things. One of my favorite things at Clinton, and this is, I'm kind of ashamed to mention it, but I'm from New York City, and there's a one-stop deli. And I have been upstate through college and career and working, and I truly miss a corner store. Just being able to walk and get what I need. And the one-stop deli has that, whether it's my snacks, whether it's like specific sodas that I'm like, oh, I haven't had that in a while. And they also have like great food. It's also great because it's right in town. So I'm able to get off campus real quick, grab something to eat. It gives me the opportunity to go outside because I'm in the office a lot. But it's just great food. So that is one place that I like. And it's very reasonably priced, which I enjoy. And I'm sure students enjoy that as well.
Absolutely. A favorite destination. I'm a huge fan of the farmers markets that go on during the summer every Thursday. I know this weekend there is a book fair that is going also on the Clinton Green. And so there's a lot of things that are happening during the school year, of course, for our students on campus. But during the summers, the Clinton community is still just as vibrant as it is during the year. I know we've talked a lot about Clinton itself, and Hamilton can sometimes feel all the way up on the hill. So I'd like to talk a little bit about, again, our physical space and our physical community that we have at Hamilton, and maybe talk a little bit about some of your favorite spots on campus, maybe some of the favorite locations, or just Hamilton in general.
I mean, again, I love nature, so the Glen is a huge favorite spot for me. We also have the reservoir, which is about 2 miles in that direction. Not that that means anything to you guys watching. But also a lot of our campus buildings are so beautiful. Like KTSA, is this huge, like curved glass building. So when the sun sets, it is reflected against the glass, and there's a beautiful pond in front of it as well. And it's very scenic, and it always really warms my heart when I walk by. So
I'm gonna piggyback on that. I'm actually in one of the KTSA classrooms right now. I wanted to sit by the windows, but I didn't have access to an outlet, so I had to come in here. But I would say definitely KTSA. One, because I'm just in here most of the time. Like one of my jobs is in here along with most of my classes, so I am in here pretty often along with rehearsals. But I would say my second favorite spot on campus would have to be Welland Hall. It's a great performance space. It's the biggest performance space that we have here on campus. And the acoustics are in the acoustics in there are great, whether it's for a theater performance, a dance performance, singing performance, any performance in the Welland just feels magical because it's a beautiful theater.
I think my favorite place will have to be the Sadolph Underground, which is in the basement of Sadolph, the student center. I really like it because I think the decor is just great. I love the furniture. It just looks very high end, loungy, relaxy, but could be fun in the furniture. You can move it around. But I also like it because of the games that we have down there, and it is a place where you can relax. Sometimes I tell the people in my office, if you can't find me, just find me downstairs because I need a second, even if I'm not playing a game. But I think people being down there and using it, I think it's a great relaxation space, even though it has the opportunity to be fun. So I like that space just to decompress and do the things. But also to see students down there is great too.
Yeah, I'm partial to my office that I spend most of the time in, of course. But as a retired now cross-country runner, I do enjoy, as Rachel mentioned, the wooded glens on campus. Campus is an arboretum, so there are over 1,000 protected trees on campus. You can kind of tell as you walk around campus and see so many trees. But it's certainly a really great place to go for walks and to be outdoors. Awesome. I know we've talked a lot about some of the different student activities as we've had our conversation. I've got a question in the chat specifically about what students do on their weekends and maybe some of the things that they're involved with, maybe through clubs, extracurriculars, or just things that people like to do for fun.
I can, unless Rachel, you want to start. Okay, okay. So our office, we do host state-off programming that does happen during the week, grab and go things. And then we also have our late night events, which are all substance free events. And then we also have our after dark events that might include something at our pub or our pub programming events. And a lot of those things, they do happen on the weekends. Again, students are able to come and they can go. But the purpose is, again, to make sure there's stuff that's happening. And a lot of those things are our larger scale events. So our pub programming events might be themed. So they might be a painting sip or various things like that. So even if students are not 21 plus and or would like to drink if they are 21 plus, students can still come and enjoy the paint and sip and just be in the presence with their friends. We so it doesn't deter any student away. And we definitely make sure we advertise that and share that with the campus community because we don't want to turn it away just because we're hosting it in a certain space. But a lot of those times we'll bring in those inflatables that Ben was talking about and a lot of larger scale events or giveaways that happen. Our clubs also a lot of times sometimes might host events throughout the year on the weekends as well. So you're able to go to various events as well as other departments on campus, probably.
yeah, I was just gonna bring up exactly what you're talking about how awesome it is that there's so much programming for people who might not necessarily be interested in, the kind of nightlife you associate with college. I know some of my, most fun nights out have been, doing that exact programming. Like I remember there was one time like a mocktail karaoke time in the pub, which was so fun. They also did laser tag once, which was also a really, really great time. So there's so much programming for students. And again, like any level of engagement, like there is, of course, a nightlife here. We are college, but like just as equally there, isn't. But like there's, alternative programming for those that don't want that. So I think that's a really, really great part about, the student activities here. And then, during the daytime, a lot of people tend to, go out and explore, our surrounding community. I myself am partial to going to a Utica Comets game, which is such good fun. It's our Utica hockey team, and you can, watch and you get a discounted seat some of the time from being a Hamilton student. So it's really great fun.
Yeah, y'all pretty much covered most of it, but what I love to do with my friends, mainly during the day on the weekends, is kind of like what Rachel was saying, going out and exploring the town. This past weekend, I went with two of my friends to the mall, and we were like, let's go to Pins, like let's just play some bowling, or a few times we've gone to like Destiny Mall, which is a little bit further in Syracuse, but, just, like, going around and exploring the town and, like, having fun with friends is a big thing.
Awesome. As an avid sports fan, I am partial again to watching some of our amazing sports teams compete. As a, again, retired cross country runner, I myself was watching from the point of view on my Saturday mornings, but definitely really great. And I think what's nice as well about the Hamilton student body is that those will be your classmates, maybe even the people that are living with you in your residence halls, the fellow students that you'll be taking part of this campus experience with will oftentimes be fielding our varsity sports teams. And so you've got a vested interest, you know who's playing on the field, and having those, conversations later in the week, being excited for your friends to be able to compete, I think is a really important part of athletics and especially the spectator ones on the weekends. Awesome. I've got a question here, and I know we're getting closer to the end of the hour, so just time for a few more questions. I've got a question here about Hamilton in the local community, specifically with some volunteer opportunities. And I know that there are a couple different service organizations on campus. I don't know if any of our panelists have some experience or would be willing to talk to a little bit about some of the local volunteer or community opportunities outside of the Hamilton community as a whole, but in some of maybe our local communities in Clinton, New Hartford, Utica, and Syracuse.
Yeah, I've done some volunteering here at Hamilton, and I think just like it is with extracurriculars, it's super, super easy to get involved specifically with volunteering. I myself have tutored at the Clinton Middle School, once a week and helping with their after school program, which is really, really fun. And then our, big, it's Havoc. I don't know what it stands for. If Connor, maybe you can help me out with that. Uh,
I'll have to do a
I
quick Google search.
Okay. But they host a day of service once a semester where they partner with a bunch of local Clinton and Utica community organizations, and then they send out a lot of students. So I've done that a couple of times, and I've gotten to work certain events and participate and volunteer, and it makes it really, really easy. It's, as much or as little commitment as you want. Also, I know like some of my best friends have done a lot of individual volunteer work. So, they formed their own connections with the local community and have gone and volunteered in local food shelters there through the connections that they made on their own. And I know a lot of our professors are really involved in volunteer work as well and will take their classes out to help the local community and support the local community.
Awesome. Thank you, JD, there in the chat for the HAVOC acronym. Rather ironic for a service and outreach group. Always a good laugh. But of course, awesome. One last question for our panelists, and then I've got a few rapid fire questions for us at the end. A question about the weather and the weather in our community, especially in the winter. Sorry, how is that like? And I don't know if people have experiences with cold weather elsewhere, but I will speak for I suppose all of us and say it does get a little chilly in the winters up in upstate New York. So yeah, some thoughts on the weather in upstate New York.
I've been here for going on 3 years now, so, I would say the winter is honestly not as bad as I thought it would be. Like when I was originally like packing to go up there, everyone was telling me like it gets really cold, like it snows every day, like you're gonna be trapped in your building. So I'm like, thanks guys, that's not really making me feel better. But once I actually got up there and like had to go through like and brave the winter, it wasn't as bad as like everybody made it out to seem. So like the most important things and like pieces of advice I would give is learn how to layer. So like wearing an undershirt, a shirt, and then a sweater, that will definitely help. I would say there isn't really like much you have to like be aware of. Like Hamilton is very good with like making sure that all of the sidewalks and streets are paved, so you'll never have to worry about like, oh, I'm slipping outside of my door. And also since like we are such a small school, you don't really have to travel that far. Like granted, I am pretty tall, so it takes me a lot shorter to walk across campus than like the average person per se. But I would say from like walking from the farthest part of one side of campus to the other side, I would say it takes me about like 10 minutes. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Ben. I've been further upstate and that is cold and negative degrees, but I don't feel that Hamilton really gets that. It was bad, but I agree. Layer, winter boots. I'm a UGG girl, so I love my Uggs. Actually love when the weather gets a little colder so I can pull them out in all the flavors. But I think you find a way to manage it as well, right? Especially as a first year student, if you're not used to the cold weather, there will definitely be other people like that with you as well, but you'll learn how to brave it and do the things, but definitely layer. And I think we're also very intentional with doing things so you may not have to walk outside so far if we're talking about activities and extracurricular activities, because we do know the cold is a deterrent, but trying to find things that make you feel warm, and various things like that. Euphoria coffee is always great for that as well in the winter with their hot chocolate. So yeah.
I think it's interesting that we chose to speak about the winter, especially since it's so hot today as we go through a heat advisory. What's nice about upstate New York is that you do get all 4 seasons. Usually they mean throughout the year, but sometimes it's throughout the span of a week. But it is one of the benefits, of course, of our location in upstate New York. I've got two rapid fire questions to wrap us up here towards the end for our panelists. My first one is, what is your favorite thing about Hamilton?
I can go. My favorite thing about Hamilton are the people. Very intentional with whatever their discipline is and what they love, but also the support they show. So whether that is student or student support, whether that is faculty and staff supporting students, or and even students supporting us, that support is top notch, and it truly just fuels and makes me a better person, and really just reminds me that I'm doing the great work, and it's being reached to the people.
Echoing that, definitely the community that we have here. I know that's probably cliche for this webinar, but it really is true. One thing about Hamilton is that you're not only going to a college when you're here at Hamilton, you're pretty much in a family. This family will support you with whatever you need, whether it's academic stuff, career stuff, if things are going on at home, if you feel like you just need someone to talk to. Everyone here is willing to support you. And something that I really liked is that a story that I like to tell on my tours is when it was my first week of Hamilton. I was the first year, and I didn't know where any of my classes were because all of the buildings were abbreviated, and I didn't know what the abbreviations meant. And I was panicking because I was like, I'm about to be 5 minutes late to my first class of my first day of college. A student stopped and was like, "Hey, are you okay? You looked really panicked." And I was like, "I don't know where my class is. I don't know where any of my classes are, to be completely honest." And he took the time like out of his day to like show me like what buildings, like which of my classes were in. And without that, I probably would have had a completely different start to my college career. So it's just moments like that that really make the Hamilton community a special one.
I think we lost Rachel there, so I'm happy to share my favorite thing about Hamilton. And Ben, I'll echo as you shared that community support that you can feel, and it's not just limited to your time as a Hamilton student, as I've been able to discover in my first year after graduating, the bonds and the friendships and the relationships that you build with other students, classmates, and people, and just the community are built to last for life. And as I've been able to step out of the Hamilton campus for, maybe in a limited role as I'm still there, it's been nice to be able to keep in touch with those people that had such a profound impact in my life over the past 4, 5 years. Awesome. So unfortunately, we have run out of time for our program today. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you to Rachel, Ben, and Ariel for sharing your insight. And then thank you to JD for responding to the questions in the Q&A. We will offer more virtual sessions this summer and the fall, so please keep your eyes out for information in a follow-up email. You'll also find some more details about any virtual programs that we have coming up on hamilton.edu/visit. Best wishes to you all as you move forward in your college search process, and thank you for attending again. Take care.